Year 5, Chapter 5 today. So as of yesterday, Beckett had started school, he'd met some people, and he'd just got out his bird, his origami bird that his dad had given him that morning for his birthday that he'd found. Mr. Beagle had written a legend on the board. Okay. Wow! Mr. Beagle has recognised what I knew already. I am a legend. To think I was having a bad birthday, now I'm a legend in my own lifetime. Ace is what it is. Oh yes, ham hand boy Robert is looking round at me and I'm looking right back. Not so yucky now, eh? Neva's still pointing at the bracelet and Mimi is stewing in her own anger because obviously I am a legend and it's not just because I'm new. Mr. Beagle raises his hand and wiggles his fingers, which is quite a feat considering he's got digits the size of pork sausages. This little origami crane that Beckett has brought in is incredibly special. And I can tell you that folded within its wings, there is the most amazing legend of all. Pin back your ears. You can't do that unless you have a pinoplasty, which is on page 255 of my copy of Marvin's Medical Manual. Only I sort of do it anyway because I'm desperate to hear the legend of my little paper bird, even if it means it's not me that's the legend after all. Mr. Beagle clears his throat. Once upon a time, in a land of cherry blossoms, samurai warriors, great mysteries, magic and myths, there was a legend that many had heard of. Mr. Beagle sails between the desks with my paper crane in his palm. My dad says myths are female moths, says Dante Moffat. Mr. Beagle stops abruptly and says female moths are called female moths and being quiet is called saying nothing in case the teacher gives you extra work. Now, where was I before I was interrupted? Asks Mr. Beagle, as if he hadn't only told us one solitary sentence. He begins sailing between the desks again. Ah, yes, the legend of 1,000 origami cranes is where I was. It says that if a person manages to fold 1,000 origami cranes like this one, Mr. Beagle holds it aloft like it's the world's biggest diamond, then they shall be granted one magical wish. The crane is a mystical creature that is said to live for 1,000 years, which is why you need 1,000 paper cranes for a wish, one for every year of the crane's life. Dante Moffat hoists up his hand and says, Spider-Man down my nan's bingo hall looks about 1,000 years old. Mr. Beagle says it's lovely to hear a story where an elderly gentleman has been named after a superhero like Spider-Man, that even when you're old you can still be brave and active. Oh, he calls himself Spider-Man, not anyone else, replies Dante, adding, he says it's because he's like a spider. Once he's in the bath, he finds it really hard to get out again. Mr. Beagle clears his throat again and makes a halt sign with his hand, which is clearly the signal for Dante Moffat to zip his lip. Time and time again, people would try to achieve one magical wish, Mr. Beagle continues. Some did, while others failed. As the years passed, the legend of the paper crane grew. Paper cranes were given as wedding gifts in the hope that the couple would have 1,000 years of happiness. They were also given to new babies to bless the baby with a lucky life. That is the legend of the paper crane, and as soon as I saw Beckett's item, I remembered having read about it. Why is it important to you, Beckett? My dad gave it to me, I replied, slightly gobsmacked. Well, that's lovely, said Mr. Beagle, walking towards the bookshelf. He runs his finger along the book spines before finding a book and pulling it out. I'm like a mint sweet in cola. I'm fizzing with so much happiness. The legend of the paper crane is the best birthday present ever. It hands down beats the story I read about how the obese William the Conqueror exploded at his own funeral when all the monks in the abbey were covered in his rotten guts, and the one about how Romans gargled with urine to keep their breath fresh. I look around and a few people look like they've got a hula hoop jammed in their mouths. Mimi's one of them. I can tell you're all stunned, says Mr. Beagle proudly, sailing back down the classroom aisle, his tie fluttering behind him like a flag. Thank you for allowing us to see this wonderful item, Beckett. Mr. Beagle delivers the crane back into one of my palms and the book he picked up from the shelf into the other. He says it's about origami and it might be of interest to me and I can return it when I've finished reading it. Everyone gives me a little round of applause. It's as though I'm a hero, even though I've done precisely zero. As Mr. Beagle goes on talking, I take a sneaky look at the crane. Oh, how wrong I was to think it wasn't anything important. I can see now that this paper crane is the best. By association, I am now bathing in the golden bathwater of brilliance. I'm surrounded by the foam of fabulousness. I'm soaking in the soap bubbles of smarts. My paper crane, the one that I thought was just folded paper, is actually quite incredible, because Mr. Beagle says so. My paper crane can give me a wish. What could be a better birthday present than that? The origami book for beginners, never too much paperwork. 1. Start with a square piece of paper. Heck yes, I can do this. I'm feeling confident. 2. Fold the top corner to the bottom corner. This is a piece of cake. Call me Beckett Origami Rumsey, Esquire, although I won't answer to my initials. Crease the paper and open it up once more and then fold it down again, but sideways. I just read that a few times to get the hang of it. Maybe I'll just read it again. 4. You should have lovely creases now. Bring the top 3 corners to the bottom corner. Now flatten the piece of paper. Flattening I can do. It's folding I'm getting a bit confused about. My creases are increasingly rubbish. 5. Fold the top to the centre and unfold, and then fold everything down and unfold. I'm folding. I'm unfolding. I'm folding. I'm foaming at the mouth. 6. Open your top flap. What top flap? I have no flap. I'm flapless. Would a cat flap count? Would it be easier to scale Everest with a toothpick than it is to make an origami crane? The answer is yes, I think it would. Number 7. Bring the flap down and press the sides at the same time. No, wait, I've got something here. It's a paper fortune teller. I'll just twist it between my fingers a few times and open it up. I half expect someone to have written, "You're stupid" on the inside. Number 8. Turn the model over and repeat on the other side and fold the upper flaps to the centre and repeat on the other side, and then fold up the 2 parts that look like legs and crease and unfold, and then reverse and fold the legs along the creases, and then inside reverse and fold one side. You now have a head. I have a head. I had to cut the shape with scissors though. Number 9. Fold the wings and your crane is complete. I have a bird that looks like a triangle with a trimmed head and a cat flap for a bum. I dedicate my entire evening to making paper cranes according to the instructions in the book Mr. Beagle gave me earlier. My first attempt is so bad I should set up a blog in my ICT class called Crane Rex. In the end, I tore up the first bird. My second attempt isn't dreadful. My third attempt looks like it belongs to the bird family. I'm saying dodo. My fourth is the best. Oh yes, it seems I am well on the way to getting my wish. And since I haven't found Pearl and I haven't worked out how to say goodbye to Mum, that's what I'm going to use my wish for. Okay, so I know it's sort of 2 wishes, but I don't like to follow the rules. The next day, when Billy and I are walking to school, I tell him my birthday was better than I thought. There's a spring in my step. I wave to Catwoman, who we see through the glass at Crops and Bobbers. I say hello to the pavement, the clouds, the hedge, the stray dog peeing up a lamppost. Although I soon stop saying hello and start saying scoot when the dog attempts to pee on my school shoes as I pass. When Billy asks what made it so good, I tell him a piece of paper, and I'm not lying. Perplexed, Billy says he had loads of paper, but it never makes him feel so excited. I say he hasn't got the right piece of paper. So I explain about the paper crane and how the teacher gave me a book on origami and now I'm making more cranes to get a wish. Billy says he'd like a wish of his own. I already know what Billy would wish for, so I tell him we'll find Pearl. I promise. Billy smiles and I smile back, throwing my arm around his shoulder. Today is a good day. I'm still grinning when I get to school. Even maths can't swipe the smile off my face. You're very happy with yourself, says Neva as I cross the school playground at morning break. I saw you grinning to yourself in class. You were even happy when Mr. Beagle gave us that maths test. Is it the bracelet? Oh, I know it must be. Has something amazing happened already? I shake my head. It's not the bracelet, I say. Neva looks like I've just stamped on her foot wearing some very large clown shoes. Okay, it is the bracelet. It must be doing something because I'm so happy. I cross my fingers because everyone knows if you cross your fingers you can say anything you like. See, I knew it would. Neva's face glows like I've just shoved a buttercup under her chin. That's brilliant. She tugs up my sleeve to check on the bracelet and then looks disappointed. You're just saying all that, Beckett. The bracelet can't have worked because it hasn't snapped off yet, which means you're telling fibs. Neva leans against the wall, her brows knitted together like one long slug. No way, I cross my fingers again. The bracelet doesn't lie. If you're still wearing it, then nothing amazing has happened and you're just saying it has to get rid of me. Well, you can't get rid of the bracelet and you can't get rid of me. Why do you think these bracelets make things happen? I ask. It's not the bracelet so much, explains Neva. It's the butterfly, really. Anyway, I know you need something good in your life. You just have to believe. Goggle-eyed, I stared down at the rubber bracelet and the tiny blue butterfly that's dangling off of it. Sure, I've seen butterflies before, but I've never thought that they were all that special. I mean, they start off as ugly caterpillars. What's great about butterflies, I ask her. Butterflies are our loved ones, Neva tells me, coming back to bring us love and luck. My heart stutters. I just about manage to squeeze out the words that I don't need a loved one coming back to make me feel happy. I'm lying, though, because I'd give anything to have my mum come back. I'd give anything to tell her I love her one more time. I'd give anything for a hug, a smile, a kiss. Oh, yes, you do, replies Neva, as if she can read my mind. And that's chapter 5. Shorter one today. I'll be back tomorrow with chapter 6. Bye, guys.